My name is Alice Harper, 38 years old, forensic accountant. My life has always revolved around numbers, turning messy financial puzzles into clear, accurate statements. But on that fateful morning, as I sipped my coffee, staring at the local newspaper, a different kind of chaos took hold of me. The headline screamed, "Local man found dead in a tragic accident." My heart sank as I read the name, Jake Harper, my husband. I felt as if the floor had vanished beneath my feet. My mind raced, grappling with disbelief and instinctive panic. This couldn't be true. It had to be a mistake. As I scanned the article, details started merging into blurred lines of doubt. None of them fit Jake's character. He was always cautious, so why would he endanger himself? Questions spiraled in my head, and an unsettling realization gripped me. Something was terribly wrong. Pushing the newspaper aside, I opened my laptop. The familiar glow pulled me back into the realm of logic. For years, I had pieced together financial trails and identified hidden truths buried within numbers. I had to find the truth of Jake's disappearance, and I would use my skills to do it. My fingers flew over the keyboard as I pulled up our joint bank account records, each transaction a potential lead. I recalled conversations thick with tension during the months before his alleged accident. The unexplained late nights, the abrupt withdrawal of cash, red flags I had disregarded at the time. Why had he withdrawn a substantial amount just weeks before his supposed death? The thought echoed in my mind like a siren, pulling me deeper into this unsettling mystery. I felt a chill running down my spine, the dread of betrayal creeping over me like an unwelcome fog. As I examined the insurance policy details, another realization hit me. The payout amount was exorbitant. It became all too clear that Jake stood to gain significantly from this charade, and I would be left with nothing. A mere footnote in a tragic story. In death, he thought he found freedom. Now it haunts him like a ghost. The phrase reverberated in my mind, igniting a fierce determination. I would not allow myself to become a victim in his grand scheme. I had to uncover the truth, to dissect every layer of deceit he had woven. Adrenaline coursed through my veins as I continued my search. With every document and transaction analyzed, I began to form a clearer picture of Jake's deceptions and who might have assisted him in this act. The absence of evidence felt suffocating, yet I was resolved to find it. I knew I had to act swiftly. The longer I allowed the shadows to linger, the more ominous they became. With newfound strength, I steeled myself for the investigation that lay ahead. Each keystroke became a step toward uncovering the reality of his ghostly exit from my life. This was no longer just my story. It was a quest for truth, and I would be relentless in the pursuit of it. As I delved deeper into the mystery behind Jake's disappearance, memories welled up like a rising tide, each recollection more vivid than the last. Our life together hadn't always been a twisted narrative of lies. We had once shared a reality colored by intimacy and companionship. A stark contrast to the shadows now lurking in my mind. I remembered the first time we met, on a crisp autumn day, at a mutual friend's wedding. Jake had a magnetic presence. His laughter echoed throughout the room, inviting and genuine. He was charming, his eyes sparkling with mischief as we talked late into the night about everything from our childhood dreams to our favorite movies. He captivated me with his ability to weave stories so effortlessly, filling the silence with warmth. Back then, I could have never imagined the fabric of those memories would one day turn into tattered threads of deceit. But as the years passed, the thrill diminished like the fading colors of an old photograph. Subtle signs of his discontent crept into our relationship. I recalled nights spent scrolling through my phone while he stared blankly at the television, absent from the moment. Conversations became stilted, and laughter was replaced by silence, a silence that hung heavily between us. It was during those times that my analytical instincts kicked in, and I began to notice the financial nuances, the unexplained absences, the quiet evasions when I asked about his whereabouts, and the mounting piles of paperwork that he guarded like treasure. I could almost hear him now, the way he would dismiss my concerns with a wave of his hand. "It's nothing. Just work stress, babe. I love you." Those words had always soothed my worries like a balm, even as I silently questioned if there was more beneath the surface. Then the first significant withdrawal occurred. a seemingly innocuous transfer into a separate account. It sparked a moment of unease, but I brushed it off. After all, we shared everything. Perhaps he was simply saving for a surprise gift. I remember the rush of excitement I felt at that thought, the way trust and love warped my perception of reality. Yet, as the months wore on, the financial secrecy became harder to ignore. Jake's relationship with money morphed from something transparent into a labyrinth of mysteries. I'd catch glimpses of transactions I didn't understand. A large deposit from a mysterious source here. A few unusual expenses there. Patterns that seemed disconnected but whispering something darker, if one only dared to listen closely. I drove myself mad attempting to connect the dots while he smiled and told me everything was fine. Now the memory of his evasiveness stood like a shadow against the embers of my fading trust. Each red flag had been a warning, an instinctual shout in the dark that I had chosen to ignore. But why? Was it love that blinded me? Or merely the hope that the bond we had forged could withstand the churning tides of discontent? The distance between us widened as Jake sank deeper into his secret life. I began to doubt my own competence. The accounting intricacies I had once wielded confidently now tangled into an overwhelming mess of confusion. For every insight I sought, he weaved a further layer of ambiguity. I could almost hear the mocking tone in his voice whenever I attempted to breach the subject. "Why can't you just trust me, Alice?" he'd say, casting his gaze away, while I grappled with the sinking feeling that I was losing him to an unknown abyss. And then there was Samantha Green, my once close friend, who had slipped from confidant to accomplice in what felt like a blink of an eye. I remembered her cheerful laughter, how we had once shared secrets over glasses of wine and late-night talks. But as Jake slipped deeper into his deceptions, Samantha became an enigma as well. I recalled one particular evening when I had confided my concerns about Jake to her, only to be met with light-hearted dismissals. "You worry too much, Alice. He's just busy." But as I compared timelines, her dismissiveness transformed into a sharp pang of betrayal. Had she already known? Was she privy to his plans all along? Days turned into a spiral of doubt as I pressed ahead with my investigation, sifting through the debris of our fractured life. The emotional weight bore down on me, demanding boldness in the face of mounting despair. I clung to the thought of uncovering the painful truths beneath the veil of betrayal. With every piece of evidence I unraveled, I felt closer to identifying the players in Jake's scripted escape. My resolve hardened as I realized I had not just a husband to confront, but a network of treachery that enveloped him like a shroud. Even as memories from our past collided with my present determination, I could not ignore the stark reality of his actions. Jake was not just rewriting his life, he was tearing apart the very fabric of ours. Finally, as the shadows of recollection began to fade, one thought crystallized in my mind, a haunting question that demanded an answer. How far had they gone in their deception? The answer lingered just outside my grasp, but I would pursue it relentlessly. My intimate recollections, however bittersweet, became my fuel. I would reveal the truth behind Jake and Samantha, exposing their conspiracies and reclaiming the life they had threatened to take from me. It was no longer just a question of who had betrayed me. This was a powerful quest for justice and closure. There was still time to uncover the truth, and I would make damn sure they could not escape my scrutiny. As the days slipped by, the fog of uncertainty began to lift, replaced by an unshakable resolve. I had unearthed secrets hidden beneath layers of deception, piecing together a plan that would force the truth into the light. Late nights spent combing through financial records had unveiled suspicious transactions that made my stomach churn. The revelations painted a darker picture than I had imagined, and with every discovery, the urge to confront Jake grew stronger. This wasn't just about a deceitful husband. It was about a complex web of betrayal spun with the help of my once closest friend, Samantha. I decorated my wall with evidence, a chaotic mural of Jake's duplicity. Each marker and string intertwined stories of missed connections, late nights, and inexplicable withdrawals that told a story I refused to ignore. I felt like a detective in my own life, the facade of our happy couple peeling away to reveal the rot beneath. The day of reckoning dawned with storm clouds looming overhead, a fitting backdrop for the confrontation ahead. I invited Jake over for dinner, feigning normalcy while secretly plotting the evening's emotional upheaval. A stirring of anxiety wove itself into the anticipation. I fought against the rising fear, knowing that this was a critical juncture. When he rang the doorbell, my heart raced, but I opened the door with a smile that masked the turmoil brewing within. "Jake." "Just in time for dinner," I chirped, trying to sound cheerful. We settled into our usual routine, the small talk flowing, but unease tangled in the air around us. Midway through dinner, I decided it was time to steer the conversation into the stormy depths. "You know, I've noticed some unusual transactions in our accounts," I suggested cautiously, gauging his reaction. His fork paused. "What are you talking about?" he asked, a note of tension creeping into his voice. I leaned in closer, emboldened by my resolve. "A substantial withdrawal recently. It doesn't feel right, Jake. What's going on?" For a moment he froze, the mask slipping. "Alice, it's just work-related stuff," he lied, attempting to dismiss me. I pressed on. "Work-related? Is this about Samantha? Are you both involved in something more?" A flicker of panic crossed his features as I dropped her name. "What do you mean?" Jake shot back defensively. I could sense his walls going up, but my instincts told me I was close to breaking through. "You know what I'm talking about," I asserted. "Don't treat me like I'm delusional. I've connected the dots, Jake. I'm not going to let you or her brush me aside anymore." I expected anger, but what came next was a wavering bravado. "You don't know anything," he snapped, but I could see the fear lurking beneath his bravado. Just then, the world shifted as Samantha breezed through the door, her timing almost comedic in its irony. "Hey guys, I brought dessert," she announced, oblivious to the storm brewing in the room. Jake's demeanor morphed back into one of practiced charm, the confrontation thrown off kilter. I shot him a pointed look, frustration tightening my chest. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. "Perfect timing, Samantha," I said, attempting to reclaim control. "Just the person I wanted to talk to." Her smile faltered as she registered the underlying tension. "What's going on?" she asked, glancing nervously between us. "I was just asking Jake about some financial issues I've uncovered. Care to join the conversation?" The tension thickened as she hesitated, uncertainty reflected in her eyes. "Financial issues? What do you mean?" I pressed on, needing to expose the complicity that had festered in the darkness. "Both you and Jake have been hiding things from me. I know about the secret accounts and the late-night meetings. You've been lying." Samantha's face blanched as the implications dawned on her. "Alice, No more excuses," I interrupted, my voice firm. "You both need to face the truth of what you've done. This stops now." In that moment, the atmosphere shifted as Jake and Samantha faced each other, realization dawning on them that their facade was about to unravel. The evidence was there, and I felt a simmering energy charge the air. Their unity threatened to fragment under the weight of the truth. As I stood my ground, an undeniable sense of empowerment surged within me. The time had come to break free from the chains of deception that had bound me. I could finally confront the betrayal that had invaded my life. No more hiding and no more pretending. With the storm outside pounding against the windows, I knew what was at stake. This confrontation was just the beginning. I was ready to uncover the entire truth, and I wouldn't stop until I reclaimed what they had tried to take from me. The air thickened with tension as Jake and Samantha exchanged nervous glances, their unity wavering under the weight of my accusations. I could almost taste the fear radiating from them, electrifying the atmosphere. "Let's get straight to the point," I said, my voice steady. "I've uncovered discrepancies in our finances, significant transactions that I can't ignore. Tell me about them." Jake's charm slipped, revealing the unease simmering beneath. "You're overreacting, Alice. This is just a misunderstanding." "Misunderstanding?" I countered, leaning closer. "How can it be that I've been tracking late-night meetings, text messages, and now this?" My heart raced as I watched his expressions shift, the panic flickering in his eyes. Samantha shifted uncomfortably, clutching the dessert she had brought, as if seeking comfort from it. "Alice, I don't know what you're implying. This is crazy." "Crazy? Is that what you think?" I challenged, my heart pounding. "Our financial situation is anything but crazy. You both have been hiding things from me. I have evidence. The missing money, the hidden accounts, and your late-night rendezvous. It all leads back to deceit. Jake attempted to regain control, but I was relentless. Let's talk about last month's company trip. You weren't on the list, yet you still took off for days. What were you doing? He hesitated, caught in a lie, and Samantha stepped in. Those trips are just work-related exercises. Jake was busy with his team. Busy? I snapped, immediately cutting her off. You don't think I'd notice the texts popping up late at night, don't you? This isn't just work. The damning silence echoed as Samantha's face paled, and she glanced at Jake, who was visibly shaken. I pressed on. Admit it. You've been planning this deception together, and I deserve to know the reality. Alice, please, Jake started, his voice strained. You're getting it all wrong. I shook my head, my anger bubbling over. Wrong? The only thing wrong here is your perception of what is acceptable. This ends now. You need to tell me everything while there's still time. The room felt constrictive, and Samantha's earlier bravado was melting away. What are you talking about? She asked, voice trembling. I'll tell you what I'm talking about, I declared, my determination surging. I won't let you lie to me any longer. Your secrets have created a chasm in our lives, and I want answers. Suddenly, Samantha exploded. You don't understand. We were trying to protect you. We thought you wouldn't mind. Protect me? I repeated incredulously, the sarcasm dripping from my words. By lying and conspiring together? You thought keeping me in the dark was protecting me. Jake and Samantha exchanged desperate looks that spoke volumes. Fear, guilt, and the realization that their charade was rapidly collapsing. As the storm outside intensified, matching the chaos in the room, my anger turned to clarity. You both need to understand the consequences of your actions. I will not allow myself to be the victim here. This is about taking back my life. Jake swallowed hard, finally acknowledging the gravity of the situation. Okay, Alice. You want the truth? Yes, Samantha and I were involved. But it was never meant to get to this point. Never meant to? I spat, incredulous. You think that makes it okay? You've shredded the trust one put in you both. Samantha's eyes pleaded, her voice shaky. We didn't mean to hurt you. We thought we could sort it all out before you knew. Sort it out? I echoed, frustration surging within me. You thought you had enough time to pull this off without it affecting me? I deserve honesty. Jake, now visibly beaten, looked down. I was trying to make things work without dragging you into this. You have a lot on your plate. I cut him off, my resolve underscored by the conviction behind my words. You've underestimated me, Jake. You think I wouldn't fight back? I will confront this head-on. Samantha stepped forward, attempting to soften the moment, but I wasn't ready to relent. You need to lay everything out on the table. No more secrets, no more lies. Damage. Jake countered, his guilt evident. I see that now, but then it was just a high. A thrill you chased at my expense. I shot back. You lost sight of who you were, what this was supposed to mean. You turned it into a game I never agreed to play. Tears stung my eyes, not from sadness but from the sheer weight of rage and disappointment. I couldn't believe I was facing two people who had been so integral to my life, now reduced to strangers tangled in deception. With the storm raging outside, I could feel clarity washing over me. No matter how much this hurt, I would come out stronger. Know this, both of you, I said firmly. I'll be getting my life back, piece by piece. This isn't over until I say it is. As Jake and Samantha stood there in silence, I could feel the power surging within me. I would expose the truth and reclaim my narrative. Their day of reckoning was at hand, and I was ready to confront every dark corner they had hidden in the shadows. The tension in the room was palpable, a thick, suffocating silence filled with unspoken admission and fear as I faced the two of them. The storm continued to rage outside, thunder rumbling as if mirroring the turbulence within. I could feel the adrenaline coursing through me, ready for the next step in this confrontation. The time for secrets was over. Now it was time to reveal everything. Let's address the elephant in the room, I began, taking a steadying breath. I needed to maintain control. Not just the deceit, but how this betrayal will affect us moving forward. We have a lot to unpack. I dubbed it the game. And it seems both of you were players. Jake shifted uncomfortably, his eyes darting between me and Samantha as if searching for an escape route. Alice, we never saw it that way. We thought we were having fun together, that it would bring something new to our lives. Fun? I repeated with a bitter laugh. Do you even hear yourselves? Fun for whom? While I stayed here planning a future, you two were rewriting my present. Did you think I wouldn't notice the shifts in our lives, the secrets stacked upon secrets? I thought it would fade away, Jake admitted, his bravado cracking. It was supposed to be an escape, nothing more. But we didn't anticipate it growing out of control. And ultimately the one who got hurt was me. I said, my voice cold and steady. This was never about a thrill or an escape for me. I believed I was married. I believed I was in a partnership built on trust. Samantha took a deep breath, her resolve faltering. Alice, I know I should have come to you. I was drawn into Jake's world. It was like an adventure, and before I knew it, I was too deep to back out. Your adventure has consequences. I shot back, my frustration boiling over. I'm not your collateral damage. And now I'm expected to simply roll over and forget this ever happened. But you see, truth has a way of clawing its way to the surface. I said bitterly, the clarity of my words echoing like a mantra. And now here we are, at this moment, confronting reality. What do you want from us? Samantha's voice quaked, vulnerability spilling over her anger. Truth. I want names, I want dates, and I want a full account of everything you've hidden. And then I want to know why it matters to either of you now. I stated, my resolve unwavering. What if we can get through this together? Jake interjected, clearly grasping for anything that would stem the tide of this catastrophe. Together? I echoed, incredulous. You think this can still be salvaged? After what you did? I am so tired of the lies and the pretense, I continued, pushing past him. You felt like you could take opportunities that weren't yours to take. I want the steps that led to this mess, because I need context. I need to understand. Each confession could serve as a thread unraveling their tangled web, and I realized I was standing at the precipice of reclaiming my power. Samantha nodded slowly, tears streaming down her cheeks. You're right, Alice. We can start by being honest with you. No more games. I know it will take time, but I need you to believe that we truly want to make amends. Making amends? I scoffed, though I did feel slightly mollified. Let's focus on honesty first. Only then will I begin to think about what it would take to restore any semblance of trust. I took a deep, steadying breath. This confrontation had become the crucible through which our relationship was being forged anew. Tell me everything, I commanded, meeting their eyes with fierce determination. I'll start, Jake said, his resolve hardening. It all began with harmless flirting in our work chat. I thought it was just fun, an innocent escape. I never planned for it to escalate. Samantha chimed in, her thickness of emotion showing. But then it turned into something deeper. I found myself drawn in. I loved feeling wanted, but it shouldn't have been at your expense. So you got involved with each other for attention? I fired back. While I dedicated my life to building our years, you both seem to have kicked me to the curb without a second thought. Do you even grasp the impact of your choices? Their heads hung low, shame coloring the atmosphere. For every revelation, a weight fell heavier on my heart. The tears I once fought against began to spill as the reality of their betrayal emerged, not only as victims in their drama, but as participants unwilling to acknowledge how far they would go to escape reality. Both of them looked up, waiting for my reaction, the air thick with anticipation. I felt a mix of rage and disquiet settle within me, but there was something else emerging, an underlying strength, a realization of the control I held over my own narrative. I wouldn't shy away from this agonizing truth. This is your opportunity to pull me into the light, I declared, a steely edge creeping into my voice. No more shadows. I no longer wish to be a character in your drama. I will write my own script. With the storm still raging outside, I prepared to plunge deeper into the reality of this betrayal. I was ready to tear down the fortress they had built with lies and rebuild from the ground up. This was only the beginning. My journey toward reclaiming my life had just commenced, And I was resolute in pursuing this path to clarity and resolution. No matter how painful it would be, the atmosphere shifted in the room, weighty with remorse yet glimmering with the possibility of healing. The storm outside mirrored the emotional tempest brewing within me. I felt anxiety coiled tightly in my gut. This confrontation had become a storm of its own, and I was prepared to dive deeper. "I need to hear everything," I said, my gaze piercing through Jake and Samantha. "Why did you choose this path? What were you searching for outside of our relationship?" "I'll start," Jake said, a tremor in his voice, his defiance crumbling. "It began with innocent flirting on our work chat. I thought it was just harmless fun, an escape from the monotony. I never meant for it to escalate." Samantha's lips quivered as she spoke up, her voice nearly breaking. "At first, I believed it was just light-hearted banter, but then I found myself drawn in. I loved feeling wanted and desired, but I know now it shouldn't have come at your expense." I shook my head slowly, incredulity flooding through me. "So you both engaged in this for attention? After everything I dedicated to building our life together? Was I just background noise to you?" Their heads sagged in shame, and I saw guilt etched on their faces. Each revelation felt like a punch to the gut. I couldn't suppress the tears any longer. They flowed down my cheeks as I glimpsed the reality of our situation. Not just emotional victims caught in their web of lies, but willing participants who chose deceit over resolution. "Do you even grasp the enormity of your choices?" I demanded, my voice almost breaking. "You two kicked me to the curb, betrayed our relationship, and now act as if I should simply understand." They looked up, their eyes wide with a mixture of fear, remorse, and confusion. The air was thick with tension, and I felt a surge of conflicting emotions spike within me. But amidst the turmoil, I discovered a newfound strength. I was no longer just a victim in this scenario. I was reclaiming my narrative. "This is your moment to face the truth," I asserted, my voice finding its steadiness. "No more shadows, no more lies. I refuse to be a character in your drama. I will write my own script from here on out." The storm continued to rage outside, flashes of lightning illuminating the room for a fleeting moment. I braced myself to plunge deeper into the reality of this betrayal. I was ready to dismantle the fortress built on lies and set the foundation for a new beginning. Jake took a deep breath, determination resurfacing on his face. "I realize now that I was selfish and naive. I never wanted to hurt you, Alice. But I lost sight of everything we built together." "I see that." My heart ached at his admission, but every painful reflection reminded me of the gravity of their betrayal. "You both need to understand one crucial point. Regret alone won't suffice. If we're to move forward, I need to see genuine commitment to change." Samantha nodded vigorously, her resolve mixing with sadness in her features. "I'll do whatever it takes, Alice. I don't want to lose you. I'm willing to take responsibility for my part, but it can't just be words." "No, it can't," I agreed, allowing a hint of vulnerability to seep through my stoic facade. "Our future hinges on action, on transparency. I want to understand what drove you both to seek thrills outside our lives." Jake looked at me, and for the first time, I saw a glimmer of acknowledgement in his eyes. "I do understand how my choices hurt you. I didn't think of the consequences. I wanted to escape the pressures of our day-to-day. Mine was a search for distraction rather than real connection." "Escape," I echoed incredulously. "You thought betrayal would provide a sense of freedom? You've merely showcased how cowardly that choice truly was. You've sacrificed our trust for fleeting excitement." Samantha wiped her tears away, attempting to collect herself. "You're absolutely right, and I can't forgive myself. In those moments, I saw a chance to feel alive again, but I failed to realize the impact it would have on you." Silence hung in the air, thick with our shared pain. The words felt heavy, yet there was a flicker of resolve among us. I could tell they genuinely desired to make amends, and for the first time, I felt a glimmer of hope. "Regret alone isn't enough. You have to show me that you can change," I said, the firmness in my voice returning. "If we're going to salvage any of this, we need to rebuild trust from the ground up. I need to see commitment, not just words." Jake nodded, his expression earnest. "I'll go to therapy if that's what it takes to understand my actions and rebuild our connection." I want to ensure that this doesn't happen again. I will prove my dedication. Samantha chimed in, her voice steadier now. And I'm willing to. Seeking adventure shouldn't have led to this betrayal. I need to learn to communicate better and support you without let our excitement dictate our decisions. I need boundaries if we are to restore this relationship, I instructed, leaning forward earnestly. Moving forward means having open communication. If either of you is feeling restless, show it to me first. Don't retreat into silence like before. They exchanged glances filled with understanding, and I caught a hint of determination forming anew. Absolutely, Jake said, his conviction soaring. We promise, Alice. No more hiding. As I listened, hope began to swell in my chest. It wasn't a quick fix. Trust would take time to rebuild. But this commitment was what I needed to believe in a path forward. I still care about both of you, I admitted finally, my voice laced with both pain and warmth. But I understand that love isn't sufficient to heal the fractures between us. We must confront the root causes and work collaboratively towards restoration. The rain began to lighten, transitioning to a gentle patter against the windows. The air felt less suffocating, as though clarity followed the storm's chaos. With my gaze shifting between Jake and Samantha, I felt a renewed sense of power. This was a chance for us to begin anew. We'll take this one day at a time, I stated with determination. We need to rebuild slowly and carefully, and we must confront obstacles together. As they affirmed my words, the tension in the room shifted toward optimism. This journey of healing would not be easy. The ghosts of betrayal would linger, challenging us. But for the first time, the commitment among us was shifting from shadow to light. No more shadows, I reminded them softly. Let's walk into the light together, forging a new path based on honesty and accountability. And as I spoke those words, I felt an undeniable shift within me. I was on the cusp of reclaiming my narrative and paving a road towards a brighter future for us all. The days following that stormy night were a mix of uncertainty and cautious optimism. Our agreement hung in the air, both refreshing and intimidating. Each day presented new challenges, and I reminded myself that rebuilding trust isn't a straight path, but rather a winding road filled with bumps and detours. Our work environment had also shifted. Jake and Samantha were more conscious of their interactions, their behavior tinged with a newfound respect. I could see it in little things, Jake's hesitance to engage in unnecessary banter around me, and Samantha's increased efforts to check in on my feelings. Yet amidst these shifts, I felt the pressure to be watchful. It was overwhelming at times. The urge to retreat into old habits of silence and mistrust loomed, challenging the resolve I had declared. One afternoon, at our favorite cafe where my thoughts often swirled, I found myself sitting in a corner. The rich aroma of coffee filled the air, yet a sense of unease occupied my mind. Suddenly, Jake walked in. His eyes scanned the room before landing on me, and he approached cautiously. Hey, he said, his tone softer than I remembered. Hey, I replied, forcing a smile. What are you doing here? I wanted to see you. Can I join? I gestured to the empty seat. He settled in across from me, and the moment felt delicate, like glass that could shatter under pressure. How have you been? He asked, searching my eyes. It's a mix of emotions. Some days are easier than others, but I'm trying to navigate this new reality, I admitted. He nodded, the heaviness of silence settling between us. I just want you to know I'm here for you, and I want to support you however I can. The sincerity in his words struck me. I appreciate that, Jake, but I need time to process everything. Of course. I don't want to pressure you. I just want to be transparent moving forward. I see how foolish my actions were, and I don't want to repeat my mistakes. In that instant, vulnerability flooded over me. It's just, there are moments when the pain feels fresh, and I have to remind myself to focus on the future. Jake leaned in, hand poised above the table. You can talk to me. I want to know how you're feeling. No more shadows, right? I swallowed hard. Sometimes it's just hard to balance caring for you both and wanting to protect myself from getting hurt again. He looked relieved. Let's move forward cautiously, but let's commit to being honest and open. It's okay to feel vulnerable together. Absolutely, I agreed, feeling the tension easing. This conversation mattered. It was a step toward healing, away from the darkness. As we sat together, I realized we were forging connections anew, rewriting our story, and learning from our mistakes. Our paths were realigning, and the glimmers of treasured moments were beginning to shine through the pain. Our discussions became more frequent, and Jake's behavior shifted even further. He became more attentive, showing genuine interest in how I was feeling. Samantha, too, started to engage more openly, weaving our lives together with cautious trust. Each conversation felt like a small victory. I was learning to articulate my feelings, while they were genuinely trying to understand their impact on me. The fear of betrayal began to wane, replaced by a growing sense of hope. Then one evening, as we sat on my porch with a gentle sunset casting a warm glow around us, I felt a surge of warmth. I want us to be transparent, not just when it's easy but when it's hard too, I said, looking between them. We're committed, Jake affirmed, his expression earnest. And as I looked at them, I felt a mixture of fear and excitement. Trust was reconstructing itself like new roots seeking the soil. The shadows of the past would always linger, but I was resolved to step into the light. The road ahead wouldn't be simple, and I knew there would be struggles to navigate. But with every shared moment of honesty, I found strength, carving a path toward a future I could embrace. In that moment of clarity, I finally felt I was reclaiming my narrative, illuminating a road toward a brighter future for us all. Together, we could rise from the ashes of betrayal, stepping into the light, determined to embark on a new journey characterized by understanding and commitment.